Good afternoon. This is Media Center Ukraine Odesa. We continue for today. Our next briefing is dedicated to the consequences of the attack on Odessa on the 2nd of August. Our speaker is Natalia Humenyuk, Chief of the Joint Coordination Press Office of the Security and Defense Forces in the south of Ukraine. Ms. Humenyuk, the floor is yours. Glory to Ukraine. I would like to welcome everyone. Our enemy continues its terror, which is related to grain issue. It continues to try to impose its monopoly in the Black Sea. And we told that the pause, that the break was explained by the fact that they were looking for the new tactics and selecting new weaponry, and they are also waiting for certain decisions at the diplomatic level. And they understand that no one wants to make a step forward to them. That's why they resume their attacks, and we can see the deep defense of the enemy at the contact line in Zaporizhzhia and in eastern area. Russians are trying to find ways to switch the focus to other regions. Today, overnight, we saw a massive attack using Shahed 136, targeting the port infrastructure in the Danube, at the Danube River. That area has been announced by many experts as an alternative to the grain deal. That's why the enemy keeps attacking that area. This was the repeated attack. 11 Shaheds were destroyed. Air defense units of territorial units of naval forces of the state Bodyguard services were involved in destroying Shaheds. So they tried to deal with those waves of Shaheds. And we need to understand that our enemy has powerful capacity, and we are still lacking air defense systems. The negotiations are ongoing at all levels, involving our president, Vladimir Zelensky, who has emphasized that we need to increase the improve defense of the port infrastructure. Overnight, the attack was in strategic direction, which is the port infrastructure, and also there was one more target, the capital of our country, because they went to distract attention of air defense units. And we understand that they have developed kind of a systematic approach to diffuse the attention of our defense units. So they continue their attempts to target the port infrastructure. And so it was the ports of Odessa in the end of July, and also now the new targets. This is the Danube infrastructure, and they went to show to the whole world and to ship owners, the big ship owners, that the ports of Ukraine, the ports of Odessa region are dangerous for different type of activities, for loading, unloading, and navigation. They just want to show that navigation generally is dangerous here, and they also want to discredit the air defense units. During the Green Deal, we had guarantees of the UN and Turkey. Air defense units were able to cope and to fulfill all their tasks. And they ensured the defense of the grain corridor. After Odesa was attacked just a week ago, we had information that the air defense units in the south of Ukraine received new air defense systems. Could you share more details about this? And we understand that this is sensitive information. We cannot share all the details with you, but we can say that the effectiveness of air defense units during the latest attack was quite high. So it was not like 100%, but we need to understand that we calmed down a bit with the results that we had, because before they used for attacking those means that we could shoot down, or they used less Shaheds and missiles, and this night there were several waves of attack using the peculiarities of the landscape here. And so it is understood that the enemy monitor the situation, and when they see that the efficiency of our defense systems increased to 70–75%, they tried to find new ways of their attack. And we understand that they want to achieve certain results, kind of a show program in brackets, and they of course want to strike some important strategic infrastructure facilities, and they want also to demonstrate that Ukraine is not able to protect its ports. This is the war. Someone attacks, someone tries to defend themselves. Thank you. Do we have any questions from the floor? Yes, I have. Some time ago, the enemy switched its focus to the Danube area, but does it mean that the enemy has forgotten about the Odesa ports? Of course, it doesn't mean this. The switch of the focus to the Danube area does not mean that there is no threat to other ports. Ports are the elements of the grain deal, and all the ports are endangered. They could be attacked by the enemy in the future. So now they attack the Danube area, and perhaps they want to switch the focus of our air defense units. For example, they expect from us to quickly transport all air defense systems to that area. But of course, this will not be the case because we also develop our strategy. The threat is there. The threat is there when it comes to the port infrastructure. And we have seen the increased activities of Russian aircraft, and this means that they want to collect intelligence, and so they are. We have now the information that there is the submarine with 4 calibers in the Black Sea, and this submarine is ready to attack, and not only the southern regions of Ukraine. We have a question from a journalist watching our press conference online, and the question is, do you coordinate your activities with the colleagues from air defense systems from Moldova and Romania? The situation is quite complicated because Romania is the NATO country and Moldova is not involved in the hostilities of Ukraine. Of course, the tracing system turns on automatically, and there is the threat, of course, because they are very close. There are concerns of our Romanian colleagues. Our Moldovan colleagues have several times recorded the cases of crossing the border by missiles. And of course, we should not only speak about missiles here, but UAVs as well. The proximity to the border is not always the full guarantee of safety. Bessarabian region felt that already. because it is close to the border, but still the area is not protected by the aggressors' attacks. One more question: what is the situation with mines in the Danube River? There is still mine threats because there is a connection with the Black Sea. The Black Sea is mined heavily, according to the information we have. And we still have experience of finding projectiles from the Second World War. This is the evidence of the fact that the current from the Black Sea can bring such projectile ammunition and mines to the Danube River, and this we understand this situation, and of course there is still the threat of landing of Russian troops till there is the war, and of course we take countermeasures. The mine danger is still there, and we need to understand that the coastline in the country at war was this and is also endangered. And we have one more question from a journalist watching us online. Do you have any open information about how many drones reached their targets? The work is ongoing because such massive attacks require time to understand the consequences. And the situation is deteriorated by fire caused by the attack. And we need to understand that our enemy is also waiting for these results. That's why we always take this into consideration when we provide some information about the results of such attacks, for enemy not to use this information. I have one more question. For the last 2 days, I have seen information in social media that 3 vessels just break the blockade of ports, and there are no in the Danube area. Could you tell us more about this blockade? Was it there? Were these vessels were able to break that blockade? First of all, I would like to remind you that since March 2022, when Russians announced counter-terrorist operation in the northern part of the Black Sea, and all the vessels were brought to the Ukrainian ports, those vessels that were in territorial waters of Ukraine, and this is the part of the northern and western part of the Black Sea. And actually that was the beginning of the global blockade of the port life and port infrastructure, and that blockade was started with the full-scale invasion. Then we had the Green Corridor, and only those vessels envisaged by the Istanbul Coordination Center and were covered by guarantees and were protected by the defense forces of Ukraine were able to get to the territorial waters of our country. Other vessels like container carriers, tankers could not leave our ports, and they are still blocked there. They cannot use the northern and western part of the Black Sea for navigation. Navigation is closed at the level of official information provided to seafarers. And as for hype that we have now about the vessels, indirectly it provoked the attack that we saw this night. In the hybrid war, the use of such information only increases the aggression. That's why we should be very careful, because there was no breakthrough through a blockade, because the vessels just followed the recommended course using territorial waters of neighboring states as well. So that was the information bomb, and it worked against the Danube ports. Thank you very much for your briefing. We should stop here because in 30 minutes we will have the next briefing. Thank you very much, Natalia, for being with us today. Thank you for answering our questions. Thank you too. The next briefing will be in 30 minutes, and we will communicate with the expert on African issue, and we will discuss the efforts of Russia to increase influence on the continent and actually to affect the stability that is there. Thank you.